God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God. Mine is divine and the garden of your soul. Plant love, faith, and happiness, and witness what unfolds from the beauty of creation reflected in your eyes. You see heaven right here on earth and live in paradise. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And welcome to CSL Dallas. Yes. We are so glad that you're joining us either in the sanctuary or on live stream. And for those of us who are here, it is especially good to be in the house. Good to see all you folks. Yeah. Aren't you guys good to see each other? Yeah. And doesn't the place look great? Just like we've been doing a lot of hard work renovating the whole place, making it look good just for this matter. So, no matter where you are, we invite you to check in on social media and let your friends know that you are here with us. And while you're at it, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel also for lots of positive and practical spirituality. The purpose at CSL Dallas is it's a special place to call your spiritual home, because we are radically inclusive, we are spiritually progressive, and we're all about transforming lives. Let me share with you a couple of brief announcements. First, Gooch Elementary. We are gearing up for our annual Gooch Elementary fundraiser, and we'll begin collecting donations on campus and online next Sunday until August 1st, before and after Sunday celebrations. In the past, we've been able to make a big difference in the lives of a lot of people in their future, and we're really excited that we get a chance to do it again this year. Now, you guys look like you are ready to party, and I've got a party for you. We are going to have a work party. We made a lot of progress during our CSL Dallas restoration party yesterday, but we still have some more work to do. So after our Sunday celebration, the transformation continues. We would love for you to join us. So please see any of our Sacred Service team members with any questions that you may have. And there's a whiteboard in Pankey Hall where you can sign up for any tasks that you think that you might be really good at handling, and then you just need to come back later on and check off your tasks so that we know that you got it done. Good enough? Y'all ready to party, right? I'll be looking for you after service, okay? Well, if you're ready to party, are you ready for a breakthrough? On Saturday, July 31st, you definitely shall break through your limitations and transform your life in this 2 to 4 p.m. workshop. This workshop is designed to move you from that which is limiting you and unleash your limitless potential and your creative ideas and your financial freedom. Filled with exercises and experientials, like including learning how to break a board, okay? Those kind of tools and techniques will break through any limitations and transform your life. Register today at csldallas.org. Now let's continue to move into our celebration and sink into I Will Be.
Join me now as we go within and with prayer. Standing here to be that vessel, allowing Spirit to be all that it is in and through and as me, in and through and as each person who is within the sound of my voice at this moment in time. Allowing this day to be the impetus that allows us to open even further to the divine that flows in and as us. In and as the community known as CSL Dallas, flowing in and through us and out into the community of the DFW Metroplex, shining our light, the light of love. For that's what it all resolves to, is love. First and last. For it is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. That is what the divine is, fully, always present everywhere. And we are that made manifest, individualized, expressing perfectly as only we can do. So claiming to be that vessel this day for each and every person, as we open at the top and allow it to simply fill us from the top to the tips of our toes. Claiming this time together to be blessed, knowing that everyone is filled with that which they are here to receive. And so in gratitude for those blessings, I say thank you, Mother, Father, God. I allow it to be so. And we affirm together by saying, Aho, Amen, Amen, and so it is.
I'll get to y'all on live stream in just a second. It is so good to see you. And it's so good to see you too. Because without you being there, we wouldn't be here, right? So it's a both and now, isn't it? Yeah, it's a both and that's what I feel like this moment is in the life of our community. It's actually the both and. It's a both and in that last week we welcomed Kirby Welch, our new music director here. We're so grateful for his sacred yes, and he said yes, and just like every prior music director, he's going to grow into this position, so y'all love him up, grow him up, all that good stuff, right? Yep. And we're not losing Oscar, which is so significantly important to us. As you can see, he's here today, right? On the music team. So in this moment, what we really want to do is honor. We did this a couple of weeks ago, but y'all weren't here to give your love and appreciation and all that. So we want to take a few minutes. Come on up here. You can't be shy, Oscar. He's like, I don't like this. We want to thank.
You would pick that picture.
That's one of my favorite pictures because, one thing about Oscar Seong is that from the moment I met him and Petra met him and he stepped in to CSL Dallas, the Center for Spiritual Living, he's not held anything back. He's brought his whole authentic, holy self to our community. He embraced and took up our faith, philosophy, way of life in a big way. And as we know, when we do that, it actually takes up our life in a big way too. So it's done that. And his other career, which is acting, and that's exploded, and we're so grateful for that. In the midst of a pandemic when a lot of his colleagues didn't do that, right? Yep. And so Oscar, Petra made a video for you, and it's going to go out in our next e-blast, just so you know, so y'all be on the lookout for that. But we really stand here. I stand here for both of us, especially, and the rest of the staff, and the rest of the music team and the choir, and how you brought yourself. It's always positive, uplifting, the laughter, the fan, y'all. The fan. Where's it? So it's the man with the fan. The man with the fan. Everybody needs a man with the fan. That was a talk we did together. Yes. And you've just brought yourself and such a beautiful, priceless, unique, individualized expression of this one life. And our community is forever touched, transformed. And we're grateful that you're going to remain with us and be on the music team and do solos and bring us gifts. And for those of you who haven't checked out Say What, the first season already ended. The second season's going to start in the fall. Mm-hmm. It's September. So he's going to keep doing Say What. This was at the end of our Easter last year online celebration. That was unique to have an Easter Sunday strictly online. And then he had us do TikTok videos, and this was one of those ending TikTok video kind of things. Yep. And yeah.
We look crazy.
We look crazy. And we do. We look crazy. I'm wearing the same jacket. But here's why we're really doing this, is so that you all represent our entire community. So I just want you in your own way to celebrate Oscar and let him know how much we appreciate him. So if you would stand. Well, I'll ask you to repeat first, and then you can do your own way. Does that sound okay? Okay. So, Oscar. Oscar. We see who you are.
We see who you are.
You are a magnificent light.
You are a magnificent light.
You are boundless love.
You are boundless love.
And thank you for bringing all your gifts to us.
And thank you for bringing all your gifts to us.
We will never be the same.
We will never be the same.
And now. See, you can get standing ovations when you're an actor, and you can get standing ovations when you're a music director. Yay. So let's keep opening our heart just a little longer. Okay? Here we go.
Open your heart, hold out your hands, open up to have love, love, love. Open your heart, hold out your hands, open up to have love, love, love. Love, 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 love you, Oscar.
Yes. It is so good. Which way are you going, Kirby, just so I know? Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, it is just so good to be with you all this morning. I've held this mental equivalent in my mind for quite some time, as I'm sure you have as well. And what a beautiful month for us to come together and what we're talking about this month, and that is that we are talking about this holy, holy uprising. And I just got to say, if you did not imbibe in Dr. Tracy Brown's talk last Sunday, you need to. It was powerful. It was good. Check it out. It's online. I was spiritually fed. Thank you, Dr. Tracy, for that. It was really brilliant. I will never look at air freshener again the same way. And if you want to know what that's about, you got to watch that talk and understand. And so this month we're talking about this holy, holy uprising. And as this leading edge spiritual organization that we are, Centers for Spiritual Living and CSL Dallas, as a part of that, we are poised with this teaching and with these spiritual tools to take humanity into a new paradigm. And that's as it needs to be, ought to be, and actually always has been, is that we continue to evolve and spiral upward and forward, and that's what this life itself does. And it's our role to be here now to do our part for humanity to go into this new paradigm, this uprising of consciousness, right? And so we are invited to demonstrate this in our lives, to be able to do this in our lives and in our centers, like here at CSL Dallas, in our communities, all of the various communities in which we are part of, and in the world. And so to do that, there are times, especially even in the morning and in our daily life, that we must rise up, or otherwise we just stay in bed all day, right? So we've got to rise up. And so today, a way to rise up, and perhaps for some of us, a new way, is today I'm going to be talking about this concept, which is so powerful. Revolutionary love. Revolutionary love. So a revolution, as defined, it's this fundamental change in a way of thinking about or visualizing something. And so it's a change of paradigm. To have a revolution. And revolutionary means that it's involving or causing a complete or a dramatic change. So nothing's left behind. It's this complete change. It's this complete movement into something new. And science of mind is pretty revolutionary, isn't it? Okay, and now that I got you in the sanctuary, it helps to participate. Just saying. Thank you. So the science of mind philosophy, this is revolutionary. And when we take time to understand what it's teaching us, and most importantly, when we take time to practice it, then it does change the way we think. Yes? Yeah. Oh, and it changes the paradigms within our own life. And that's a really good thing. And so through the practice of Science of Mind, we see powerful and life-altering changes. And as we see that in our own personal lives, then we're showing up in a different way. And the people around us that perhaps are not understanding this and taking this up in practice are going, hey, what you doing? You know, what are you drinking? What are you eating? Because, you know, you're showing up in a different kind of way, right? And so when we have these revolutions in consciousness, because that's what we're focusing on and we're practicing to raise our consciousness, then we not only bring this transformation and these shifts to ourselves, but we absolutely bring it to everyone else, and we bring it collectively, and we bring it into our systems, and we bring it into our institutions that actually shape the experiences of us all. That's a really good thing. So when these great changes in paradigm and leaps in consciousness happen at a collective level, then everyone gets to benefit in some shape or fashion. For if and Ernest Holmes tells us, and I love this quote, for if the whole nation works together and prays together, a great moral and spiritual power, an actual soul force, he calls it, will penetrate the whole world. So as we do our work in consciousness and we do our work in spiritual mind treatment, not only for our individualized life, but our collective life, then as we are part of this movement and this uprising of this revolutionary science of mind, faith, philosophy, then we are contributing to this spiritual power that actually is a soul force, not only in our families, in our community, in our cities, in our nation, and in our world. Isn't it nice to be part of a soul force? Yeah. Y'all are great. I'm so happy you're here. Yeah. So there's revolution and there's revolutionary. Well, then there's love, right? Love. My favorite thing that Dr. Ernest Holmes says about love, and he says a lot about love. It's in our textbook and writings a lot. But my favorite thing that he says about love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. I hold that so much. It's like this, it like sweeps, it like cuts through. It's irresistible. Nothing can stand against it. Everything is changed by it, transformed by it. It's like not the way it was when this sweep comes in, right? It's like this perfect storm. And we know when storms come in, everything's changed after that. But this love is this cosmic force. And he also says that love is the lodestone, like the cornerstone of life, the great and supreme reality. He says love is the highest gift of heaven, the greatest good on earth, and the treasure for all our search. I like that too. And it is the end and the aim of everything. Think about that. As I hold this concept of this irresistible sweep that is irresistible, that nothing can stand against it, it is the end result, let's say, of this particular situation, circumstance, or what is taking place. And it's also the aim, what I'm aiming for in that moment. He also says that love is free from condemnation, even as it is free from fear. I think over time, I don't know about you, but I've been able to release fear more and more in my life. I'm working on the condemnation part, like no judgment, no condemnation. I watch the thoughts when something happens. Where do I go to first? Do y'all do that? Yeah, and so it's free from condemnation. Now notice in all of the things that I just shared, there's nothing being talked about feelings. Love is a feeling, right? So these definitions or these ways in which he talks about love, they're not pointing to feelings. And there is a quote by this amazing woman that this starts me sharing a lot from her work. There's this amazing quote on love from a spiritual activist is what I would call her, Valerie Kaur. And she says, love is more than a feeling. Love is a form of sweet labor. All the mothers can maybe relate to this, right? It's a form of sweet labor, fierce, bloody, imperfect, and life-giving. A choice we make over and over again, she says. If love is a sweet labor, love can be taught, molded, and practiced. She says this labor engages all of our emotions. It doesn't leave any of them out. And joy is the gift of love. So through this pain, there is joy, and that's the gift of love. Grief, she says, is a price of love. When you are all in with that boundless love and something happens, oh my gosh, there's grief, isn't there? She says, anger protects that which is loved. And when we think we have reached our limit, wonder is the act that returns us to love. Now, this is the start of exploring some of her work. And what this quote illuminates is that love is more than a feeling or an emotion. And love brings us into a relationship with ourselves. It brings us into relationship with others and even with our perceived enemies. And through that, it brings us in this powerful, powerful way of acting for people and for sentient beings outside of ourselves. And so it is through this love that we yearn to more deeply know one another. Have you felt that yearning to I really want to love this person? It's through this love that we feel motivated to fiercely protect one another. People that we don't even know. That yearning wells up to protect one another. How are people able in a split second to forget everything about their needs and their safety and run into a burning building, right? Pull somebody out of a car, whatever the case may be, stand up in front of someone who's getting shouted at. It's that deep yearning to protect one another. And it's through that love that we grieve deeply when we lose someone. And it's through the same love that we find our way back to one another. The other night, it was dark. No, actually, that's not true. I could see, it was not dark because I could see the individuals. So across the stream in the back of our condo, there's another apartment complex, and there's a swimming pool. And in the wintertime, you can see everything because there are no leaves. Right now, you can't see a lot, but I was inside working, and I heard this massive screaming. Lots of screaming and anger. And so I was like, first of all, I watched what happened first in my own mind. Was there condemnation or judgment? And then I went outside and I watched. When I saw who was screaming out over at the pool, I saw the person wailing and screaming so I could see who was doing it, right? And I started to notice what's going on inside of me. And then I remembered this life-changing event that some of you have heard about when I lived in the Bay Area, where I just stood and was the presence of love. And I went, that's what's called for right now. So in that moment, while this person who was going through whatever he was going through to make him want to, he was livid. I'm so sick and tired of this, just livid at whoever he was screaming at. I aimed this boundless love at him. And I just stood. I imagined this golden umbilical cord, really wide and far stretching. And I aimed this boundless love at this individual that was so upset. And I just poured it on. And it was immediate. It was like a shift. And he no longer was screaming. And he continued the conversation with this other person, and they were he didn't leave the field, he didn't storm away, he didn't throw a punch. None of that happened. And he just sat back down in his lounge chair and went about his day at the pool. And that was a reminder that this is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. Now, this is my own personal practice that I've taken up in the world. That no matter what I see going on, if I'm near it, if I'm next to it, if I'm watching on TV, if I'm reading, if I'm hearing, whatever, it doesn't have to be just something next to us. That's my practice. And I know that sweep is irresistible and nothing can stand against it. Be love. That's what I call it. Be love. And that each of us can be that love in any moment's notice. And nothing can stand against it. It's like Gandhi. I heard the story that Gandhi would have this one word on his lips at all times because he never knew if he would be assassinated. And that word was God, which is another name for love. And that was the last word he ever spoke because it was always on his lips. Right? This irresistible force whose sweep is irresistible, or cosmic force. So we come from this place of love because science of mind as a theology is a deep belief in oneness. The fact that we are all one, that we're all interconnected, that there is actually nothing separating, that we're all interdependent, that it's this one body of life in existence, not only on this planet, but in the entire cosmos. It's like this one body. And Valerie Kaur has a beautiful way. She's a Sikh, okay? She's in the Sikh faith. She has a beautiful way of describing this as well. Why and how this is all about oneness. She said, what has been an ancient spiritual truth is now increasingly confirmed by science. We are all indivisibly part of one another. The air we breathe contains atoms that have passed through the lungs of ancestors long dead. Our bodies are composed of the same elements created deep inside the furnaces of long dead stars. Think about that. We can look upon the face of anyone or anything around us and say, as a moral declaration in a spiritual, cosmological, and biological fact, you are a part of me that I do not yet know. Now that's a sentence to take up. You are a part of me that I do not yet know. Wow. So Howard Thurman also expresses it well. From our New Thought tradition, he says, a strange necessity has been laid upon me to devote my life to the central concern that transcends the walls that divide and would achieve in literal fact what is experienced as literal truth. Human life is one, and all people are members of one another. So when we realize the spiritual truth at a very, very deep level that has been here all along from our long ago ancestors in which they breathed, and in the dust of the stars throughout the galaxies, when we realize this, then the way we relate to everyone, and I mean everyone in the world, becomes a revolution. So revolutionary love invites us into a way of being, a way of thinking, a way of feeling, and a way of acting that is rooted in our love for one another and for all of life, because that's the truth of it. And it's in this rising of our consciousness that we rise up revolutionary love for ourselves, for each other, all sentient beings, and for everything, right? So for me, as well as what I'm going to share that Valerie Kaur brings to the table, revolutionary love is also when we bring the science of mind philosophy of co-creation. We're co-creating. And revolutionary leaps in consciousness together with the science of mind theology of oneness and this interconnectedness and the natural love that comes with that. And revolutionary love is bringing collective change through our love for one another. And it is bold. Okay, it's not wimpy. It is bold. In that it asks us to act on behalf of ourselves, on those we love, and even those we have yet to know. So let's see what in music revolutionary love has to say. Yes?
And even if you hurt me, I will not shut down. And you can't make me hate you and carry that hate around and around. And I will see no stranger, just a part of myself I don't yet know. And I'll see right through hatred, to a wound too scared to show. And I have the power to stay open. I have the power to be the one that I've been waiting for, the one who sets me free. And I'll bring love, revolutionary love. I will bring the love, revolutionary love. I'll bring the love, the revolutionary love, the revolutionary love. Come on, let's bring the love, revolutionary love. We will bring the love, the revolutionary love. We'll bring the love, revolutionary love, the revolutionary love. Sing, y'all. Right here. Revolution. Do it again. Do it again. Revolution. Last time. Revolution.
Yes, revolutionary love. Candy Williams. Yes. Yes, that's what I'm talking about now. So that whole song encapsulates everything that Valerie Kaur talks about on this revolutionary love. So we're gonna dive a little deeper on it. Yes, let's do that together. So from her book, See No Stranger. Okay, I cannot emphasize this book enough. See No Stranger. She says, revolutionary love is the choice to enter into wonder and labor for others, for our opponents, and for ourselves in order to transform the world around us. She continues, it is not a formal code or prescription, but an orientation to life that is personal and political and rooted in joy. Loving only ourselves is escapism. She also says narcissism. Loving only our opponents is self-loathing. Loving only others is ineffective. And she says all three practices together make love revolutionary. And revolutionary love can only be practiced in community. You can't do this alone. And we're not on an island anyway. No man or woman is an island. So it can only be practiced in community. So I invite you to start letting that percolate in you, and that as we are in different communities, and it can be practiced in this community, this revolutionary love. So what are these three practices? How do we do this in our life and together. There are three. The first one, love for others. That's the first practice, love for others. And in order to love others, she says, we must see no stranger. So a stranger is a person who is unknown to another person or group. This is what Wikipedia tells me, by the way. Because of this unknown status, a stranger may be perceived as a threat until their identity and character has been ascertained. So this is what Wikipedia says, right? Oh, all right. And so think about it. A person who is not a member of the family, the group, the community, or the like are treated as sometimes a visitor or a guest, right? So what if we started treating strangers as a visitor or a guest? How do you treat a guest in your home? Right? You don't consider that guest in your home a threat. Some people bring out, the cloth napkins and, the wine goblets. Let's think about it, right? A visitor or a guest. So how do we move from seeing someone as a threat to a guest? Valerie tells us the way to do this is stories. Stories can help us see no stranger. Stories. So stories create this wonder that turns strangers into sisters and brothers. And so the practice is to train, and it is a practice, and it is a choice to practice, to train our eyes, our heart, our mind, and our thoughts. When we see people on the street, on the screen, at work, wherever it is, we begin to train ourselves and seek those stories. Right? So love calls us to look upon these faces of those different from us as brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles. Because I am training myself to say within me, you are a part of me I do not yet know. I choose to wonder about you. I will listen for your stories. And as I listen for these stories, I will pick up a sword when you're in harm's way. I will take a stand for you. So stories help us move away from intentionally designed. They are intentional. I'm just going to tell you up front. Stories help us move away from intentionally designed stereotypes. Have any stereotypes that you've bumped into in your life? Intentionally designed stereotypes like women and girls are property. Black people in America are still seen as criminals and dangerous. Brown people are illegal. Gay, queer, trans people are immoral. Indigenous people, savages. Since 9/11, people with turbans are terrorists. They're intentionally designed stereotypes. But when we are trapped by stereotypes, Black is criminal, Latino is illegal, Muslim and Sikh is terrorist, Indigenous is savage, trans is deviant, women is property. When we're trapped, once a person is reduced to a stereotype, it becomes easier to rape them, imprison them, and kill them, to ban, detain, deport, and sacrifice them for the illusion of security. Thank you, Valerie Kaur, for bringing this into my life so I could bring it into my community's life. But stories destroy stereotypes. Stories set them free. Our stories can set us free. So I'll share a quick story with you. Last month, I was in the most severe pain I have ever been in my life. I thought I was dying. I was an hour and a half away from home in the middle of nowhere at a nature reserve, right, with my camera at sunrise. And I was in the worst pain I had ever felt. I literally thought I was dying. It was so bad. For the first time in my 55 years, I called an ambulance. And I was away from those that I loved. I got in an ambulance with a stranger, right? I got in an ambulance, and he immediately started doing what he needed to do, and, people were suspecting I was starting, after having a conversation, it was a kidney stone. So at least I'm like, maybe I'm not dying in this moment, but I was in the pain, okay? And the first person I had on my phone was Petra. And I was talking to her like, can you get up here? This is awful, da-da-da. I was talking, and I was crying. I was in so much pain. And as soon as I hung up, he said, was that your husband? And I told the truth. In a precarious situation. I didn't even think about it. I said, no, that was my wife. I watched the face. I watched the shift. I felt the energy. Everything changed, and I'm in the back of an ambulance. And he's wanting to give me pain meds to knock me loopy. I really got scared then. So I started on other stories. I'm a pastor. I'm a pastor in a community. That helped. Then we could see something, because I used the word pastor. And then we connected. We connected with the dude Jesus, right? And we connected. So he loosened up a little bit. But see, there was this paradox within him of the other. And I did not let him intentionally give me as much pain meds as I needed. Because something within me said, you have to think clearly here. Your wife is still 2 hours away at best. Because she had her granddaughter then, right? And y'all parents know how much it takes to get a child out the door. So I arrived to this medical center that I've never been into in the middle of nowhere. I'm not going to name what it was, but medical center. And I, based upon what happened from that moment on, I actually unfortunately think that it was mentioned that I was gay when I got admitted. Because I hope that was it, because I was treated so bad. I mean, really, I was like in there for 5 hours, and it was the worst treatment I've ever had in my life medically. Though they tended to me. But as I'm throwing up, I can't get a cold rag afterwards. Could I have a pillow? It was like, ignore. And I thought about this later. And I share this story for someone who needs to come closer to a stranger that is LGBTQIA, moving around in the world. I realized later I could have completely been denied medical treatment in this state. Wow. So we each have to take time to listen to someone's story, to take time to read. I read about people's stories. Why do I share certain stories on my social media feed? Because I want people to see a different perspective, a different thought, see stories from people that don't look like me, right? I know that there are even more stories that we can listen to right now because they've been birthed while we're in this pandemic. We have no idea what stories we each have in this pandemic. We have no idea what each of us have been through. Some people in our community, for example, spent weeks in the hospital and couldn't have a single loved one come visit them. Thank goodness we have some nurses in our community, and it was arranged for other nurses that they knew to go see the loved one, just to have a connection. We have some frontline healthcare workers in our community that have been on the front line for people like we can't imagine. Some people in our community have lost so many family members and friends, they just stopped counting. We don't know the stories we've been through. So there are so many stories that we can listen to. And some of us can even begin to wonder about the oppressors. And when we listen even to their stories, we can learn that participation in oppression comes at a cost. It cuts them off from their own capacity to love. Valerie shares this. She says, revolutionary love is a wellspring of care, an awakening to the inherent dignity and beauty of others in the earth, a quieting of the ego, a way of moving through the world in relationship, asking, what is your story? What is your story? What is at stake? What is my part in you flourishing? Loving others, even our opponents, in this way has the power to sustain political, social, and moral transformation. This is how love changes the world. Take a breath. Practice number 2. Take another breath. Love for our opponents. In order to love our opponents, she says, we have to tend the wound. Tend the wound. But it's not your wound, it's theirs. This is revolutionary, okay? And the way to tend their wound is to practice forgiveness. In whatever way you can find that will help you move through and practice forgiveness. I'm not going to talk about that today. That's another talk for another day. But to practice forgiveness. But in the practice of forgiveness, what's really significantly important is not to suppress anything. It's not about suppressing. Forgiveness, as you heard in the song and what Valerie says, forgiveness is not forgetting. See, because for too long, women, and especially women of color, have been told to suppress their rage, suppress their grief in the name of love and forgiveness. But when we suppress our rage, that's when it hardens into hate. It's like, it becomes this rock inside of us. It's solid. It hardens into hate. And then it's directed outward and most commonly directed inward. That's not good. So we've got to practice forgiveness. And forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is freedom from hate. That's what it is. Freedom from hate. Because when we are free from hate, she says, we see the ones who hurt us not as monsters, but as people who themselves are wounded, whom themselves feel threatened, who don't know what else to do with their insecurity but to hurt us, to pull the trigger, or to cast the vote, or pass the policy that's aimed at us. This is deep, y'all. So can you see the wound in the ones who hurt you, if you've been hurt? Can you wonder even about them? And if this question right now sends panic throughout your entire body, then the most revolutionary act right now is to wonder, listen, and respond to your own needs. I just want to say that. So maybe you go to practice number 3. Love for ourselves. In order to love ourselves, we have to breathe, like labor. For those who have birthed a child, something that's painful, but yet there's something really good on the other side, right? So she says we have to breathe and push, okay? We have to do both. We have to breathe and push. We have to love ourselves when we breathe through the fire of pain and refuse to let it harden into hate. We've got to breathe. We've got to breathe and not let it harden into hate. And when we are pushing into the fires in our bodies or the fires of the world, we need to breathe together. Let's do that. Let's breathe together. So that we can push together. See? We can do this together. We don't have to do this alone. So the question comes in this practice. She says, how are you breathing each day? Who are you breathing with? I know people in this community that think it's okay to go it alone, to not let people know that there's the worst pain. You know, Peter couldn't understand why I put it out on social media. I'm like, I want everybody to breathe me through this pain. We can do this together. We don't have to do it alone. And especially when news of violence or mass destruction of our planet hits our bodies, and sometimes that happens less than a minute apart, doesn't it? Like contractions. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. We have to breathe and breathe together. You could call someone and just say, I need you to breathe with me. I need you to help me push through this pain. She also says something really important. She says, it's time to grab your joy. It's in the pocket of revolutionary love. Our joy is an act of moral resistance. Don't let anyone or anything steal your joy. So how are you protecting your joy each day? It's another key question. So, to be revolutionary love, love must be practiced in all 3 directions to be revolutionary. All 3. Loving ourselves feels good, but again, it's narcissism or escapism. Loving only our opponents is self-loathing. Loving only others is ineffective. So we have to practice all 3. You want more information? Get that book. See No Stranger, a memoir and manifesto of revolutionary love. Reading's not your thing? Look up Valerie Kaur, it's spelled Kaur's TED Talk, and watch it. Revolutionary love is a choice to enter into wonder and labor for others. All 3 practices together make love revolutionary, and revolutionary love can only be practiced in community. And so this revolutionary love is a definite one of great work in our lives. Every time we act through this revolutionary love, every time we are moved to love ourselves enough to say enough is enough, every time we love another enough fiercely to protect them, to fight for their dignity, to come into a deeper relationship with their struggles and their pains. And every time we allow this same love to bring us to the state of awe and wonder and curiosity with those who we have made an enemy, we're in a state of love, because when we do this, we are the living embodiment. We are the living expression of this cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible, and nothing can stand against it. And without a doubt, as we be that love, it is It is so revolutionary. I invite you to begin these 3 practices. I implore you to begin these 3 practices. I ask you to begin these 3 practices and to ensure that everyone in your house of your mind, your thoughts, your eyes, and your soul is a guest and not a stranger. So it is. So let's just breathe together. We haven't done this in so long. This is the prayer. Perhaps you bring a stranger or someone that you'd love to give that golden umbilical cord of boundless love to. Maybe it's even someone in your family. Just breathe. Everyone, no matter where you are, we're going to take 5 collective breaths. And just breathing is revolutionary. Here we go. First breath. Second breath. We can do this. Third breath. Fourth breath. Fifth breath. Thank you for being love and making a difference in this world.
Kind of make you want to applaud? There you go. See, I can just kind of feel you guys, so I know what you kind of need, and y'all need it to kind of applaud. But CSL Dallas needs something too, so we need your offering, and this is time for offering. And I inspire you to be a generous giver. And as the greeters come forward and pass the basket, I want those of you online to know that there are a few ways that you can give also. You can donate on Facebook, you can donate at csldallas.org, or you can text give by texting to 972-954-4404. Now, we have a few new opportunities to connect and grow that I want to tell you about. First, we have spiritual fitness, which is going to be led by licensed practitioner Doreen Breedlove. We'll give you tools to rediscover the real meaning of life by connecting to and trusting in a greater power that constantly guides us. Spiritual fitness happens on July 13th. Get all the details on the website. Then our second one is Gong Meditation. It's a powerful, sacred sound journey. If you're ready to take your meditation practice to a deeper level, then we invite you to join us for a powerful gong meditation with symphonic gongs, singing bowls, and other unique instruments. This easy and fun event led by Barbara Cole Samaran happens on July 17th and is appropriate for any age or experience level. Learn more and register online at csldallas.org. And then our third one is It's All God. This is another powerfully taught class by practitioner Doreen Breedlove. It's based upon the book It's All Good by Walter Starkley. He managed to take one of the metaphysical greatest truths and put it into form which is easy to grasp. In this 8-week class, you'll gain further understanding of the key spiritual healing, true transformation and forgiveness, and daily expressions of our divine humanity. It's a book whose time has finally come. Now, with that, we're ready to close things out. So get your affirmative prayer on right after this service. You can join our licensed spiritual coaches in the private one-to-one Zoom room, and the link is right there on your chat feed. So let's end this celebration by singing Love is Enough. Get up on your feet, folks. Let's sing.